Hello everybody, welcome back to another Hof Bergmann Explained video. Today we're going to take a look at the biogas plant and how it has changed for the 1.1.0.0 release of Hof Bergmann. But before that, this video is brought to you by Toten Farmer and Jason Austin. Thank you for being farm barons. So once you have purchased the biogas plant, which we're going to find here in an area marked 7. So if we go into our lands area, you'll notice that we have field 7, field 11, and field 12, right? But if we go into lands, suddenly we have area 14, 16, 17, and 7. Really interesting how that has been done on this map, where we have farmlands identified when we go into the lands area as opposed to fields being displayed in the normal screen. But at any rate, when we buy Farmland 7, which is the biogas plant, for $409,752, we'll then be able to gain access to it. Without owning the biogas plant, the gate is locked. We just don't have the key to unlock it. There we go. Now, in the original release of Hof Bergmann for Farm Sim 22, we had a standard base game 99 kilowatt hour BGA. That has changed in the 1.1.0.0 update. Now we have a custom BGA that has some interesting and pretty cool new features. But before we really dive into the biogas plant, let's just kind of explore what we have here. So we have a modified 99 kilowatt hour BGA. We have some storage buildings, some sheds. It's always good to have these types of things down here with our BGA. And then we have one silage bunker. And this silage bunker is permanently embedded in the map. I've gone ahead and taken liberty of putting some chaff in here and covered it up. You can see we get a custom blanket when we cover our silage, and we are now fermenting our silage here. We're not going to bother with collecting the silage. I've already prepped a few things, and we've already put some product into our BGA. But let's talk about our inputs and our outputs. So, of course, we have input here. This is where we're going to bring all of our raw materials into the biogas plant, other than liquid manure. That is obviously going to go over here into its separate unload point. Now, as far as what is accepted at this BGA, it's a little bit different than what you're going to be expecting. We're going to be able to add silage, manure, chaff, grass windrow, sugar beet cut, pomenance. And if you remember from previous Hof Bergmann Explained videos, pomenance is an output product of the grape fermenting process of making wine. So when you get pomenance as an output, in the original release of the map, it was good for basically being used as compost material. But in 1.1.0, we can also use it here at the BGA. We can also bring potatoes, sugar beet, organic waste, which is basically pre-compost. So if you dump any organic waste into a compost bunker, it's going to instantly convert to the organic waste fill type. You can then scoop that up and bring it over here and dump it into the BGA. You can also bring the compost that you have made and bring it over here to the BGA. And then fermenting substrate is basically what happens once you dump it into the hopper here. Now, as far as outputs, way over there, we have our digestate output, but we also have the ability to get methane. And methane is going to be a requirement for a couple other production items that are new to the 1.1 update. And that is why we're doing the biogas plant first in our extending of the Hof Bergmann Explained series, because we will need methane for the next 2 Hof Bergmann Explained videos. Now, as far as interacting with the BGA, we've got to come in here into the control house. So we open up the door, left click, and then we have our controls. And if we go in here to manage the production point, okay, we're going to go to our production chains. You can see fermentation substrate is the input, methane, digestate, and electricity are the outputs. You can also see we've gone ahead and put some fermentation substrate in. I've basically added pomenance, I've added silage, I've added sugar beet, and I've added compost in here already And I've got a load of potatoes we're going to dump into the biogas plant also here in a moment. Now, this has a couple other interesting little screens here. What we can see over here in the information screen, this is all of the inputs, and I wish I could zoom into this a little bit more. Maybe I'll try to punch in on the recorded video to this. Basically, these are the German inputs, but we have, again, silage, manure, chaff, grass windrow, sugar beet cut, palm ants, potato, sugar beet, organic waste, compost, and fermenting substrate. And you'll see the numbers on the right. That is the ratio. Okay, and I think what that means is if we put in silage, we're going to get 1.5 more fermentation substrate as an output. That's what I'm thinking that means. If we put in, for example, chaff, we're going to get 0.9% as far as our output ratio. Grass windrow is at 0.7%. Manure is at 0.6. Sugar beet cut is at 1.0. Pomegranates is at 1.0, potatoes are 1, sugar beet are 1, organic waste is at 1.1, compost is at 1.2. Okay, so it looks like silage is going to be your biggest bang for the buck as far as adding it to the biogas plant. We also in here have the ability to operate our lights. If it's a little dark in here, there you go. Also, if you are finding yourself using the biogas plant in the middle of the evening, you come over here and turn on the floodlights. Or turn them off. And then something that is really, really cool with all of the production, or most of the production here on Hof Bergmann 1.1.0, is since it is using a custom production script, we have some various animations and other things going on. Let's go and take a look at our production. And for example, right now we are storing methane, but what if we change our storing output mode to selling? Well, now we have blocked off the trigger. We can't come in here and do anything because, well, we're selling it. We're not storing it, so the trigger is useless. Same thing will hold if we change this to distributing. We have our barriers in place, so we can't do anything. We're going to change it back to storing. And let's go ahead and activate our production. Now we've activated our production. We have a beacon that's running. And you can hear, no doubt. There we go. And we've got our fermenting substrate in there now. So let me go ahead and add our potatoes. If you wanted to add it to the top, you could, but you don't have to. You can simply bring a trailer back here and tip in front, as we're doing right there. And then we're going to fast forward time just a wee little bit in order to get some methane produced, get a little digestate produced, maybe a little bit of energy. So I'll come back here right before the top of the hour at 3 p.m. 2:59, and you can see our display. We've got at the top 221 liters of digestate, 246 liters of methane. We over here on the left screen have 44,860 liters worth of fermentation substrate. And then as we advance to the top of the hour, we will earn a little bit of money. Right now we have $9,415,074. Then we have $9,415,448 now because we have processed our energy. We'll speed up the clock a little bit more, and then I want to demonstrate basically pulling methane out of the BGA and basically what we're going to need in order to actually extract the methane from the biogas plant. So now that we have some methane, stored in here at our BGA. You can also see we have a nice gauge over here showing how much methane we have, 575 liters. We're going to need to use a custom LSFM universal tank gas tanker in order to transport our methane from the biogas plant. Pretty straightforward. We're just going to roll on up in here and fill. 577 kilograms worth of methane. So let's talk about where we got that particular tanker. So if we go to our shop menu under mods and DLCs, that's where it's going to be easiest to find this stuff. We're going to go to the LSFM Universal Tank Pack. And we're going to scroll over. We have 2 tankers that are configured to accept methane. We have a semi-tanker that's going to hold 49,000 liters worth of methane. And then we have the smaller trailed tanker that's going to hold 24,000 liters worth, or I guess 24,000 kilograms worth of methane. And that's what we're using right here in this particular video. We do have the ability to change its color. We have the ability to change rim color. And we have the ability to change its tires. Continental, Vierstein, BKT, Lizard, and Nokian tires. So guys, that is pretty much it. That is the biogas plant as it is in version 1.1.0 of Hof Bergmann. Hope this has helped you all figure out maybe what goes into the biogas plant, how it all operates, and basically how you're going to get methane out of the BGA. The next video we're going to take a look at is going to be how to basically brew beer. That's right, on Hof Bergmann 1.1.0.0, we can become a brewmaster. And we're going to be brewing our own microbrew at the farm itself. And one of the inputs we're going to need is methane. And that is exactly why we have fired up the biogas plant here in this particular video. So that we'll have methane to then fire our fermenting process down at the farm. Until next time, happy farming.